They say paranoia is just imagination, that if you hear footsteps or see a shadow, your brain is filling in gaps, playing tricks on you. But what if it's not? What if the feeling that something is wrong is the only thing keeping you safe? For 2 years, I told myself I was overthinking it. I ignored the odd noises, the misplaced items, and even the strange behavior from our dogs. Until the night it all became undeniable. Until the night we came home and realized we might not be living alone. Would you check or would you run? Like if you'd check. Subscribe if you'd run. It started small, too small to talk about. A cabinet door left ajar. A picture frame knocked sideways. I kept fixing things without thinking, assuming Kyle had left them that way. He always said no. Then it was the mirror. I'd walk into the bathroom in the morning, and the mirror would already be fogged up, as if someone had just stepped out of a hot shower. But the shower would be completely dry. Every time. Kyle said maybe it was something with the pipes. I wanted to believe that, but I couldn't explain the smell. Not rotten, not moldy, just off. Like damp clothes that had been worn too long. And then came the dogs. Every night, almost like they were on a schedule. They'd leave the bedroom around 2:30 in the morning and sit silently in the hallway, staring up at the ceiling, right where the attic door was. They never barked at first, just sat, watching, waiting. Eventually, one of them started growling, soft, low, like they sensed something we didn't. Carl thought we had mice. He even went up to check once, but didn't see anything. No droppings, no damage, no signs of life, just silence. But that didn't explain the footsteps. Not running, not loud, just soft, deliberate creaks across the ceiling. When we were lying in bed, wide awake, I started locking the bedroom door. It made me feel better, even if it didn't make sense. Carl thought I was being paranoid. But then one night, we came home late from a concert. The house was dark, still. But the moment we stepped inside, the dogs ran into the hallway, straight to the attic door. And this time, they didn't sit. They barked, wild, aggressive, loud, snarling at something above us. And then, we heard it. Creak, scrape, creak. Not the house settling, not the wind. Actual footsteps, pacing, above us. The sounds above us stopped the moment we froze. We didn't speak. We didn't move. We just stood there, staring at the ceiling. Like if we stayed quiet long enough, it would all go away. Kyle whispered, "Did you hear that?" And I nodded, too afraid to answer out loud. The dogs kept barking, almost clawing at the floor. Something was up there. Finally, Kyle grabbed a broom, the only thing within reach, and slowly pulled the attic string down. The ladder creaked as it unfolded. He started climbing, flashlight in one hand, broom in the other. I stood beneath him, holding my breath. The attic was still. He shined the light around once, twice, then whispered, "There's nothing here." I climbed halfway up behind him. It smelled weird, like sweat and old wood, and the air felt heavier, like it hadn't moved in years. We didn't find anyone, but in the corner, pushed behind some insulation, was an empty soda can, a candy wrapper, and a single, dusty sock. That wasn't ours. We both stood there, staring at it. Neither of us said the obvious, that someone had been up here. But for how long? We called the non-emergency line. 2 officers came out, walked the attic, checked the locks. They didn't find anything suspicious, no forced entry, no real damage. One of them said it might have been a drifter who came in while we were out. "It happens sometimes," he said. We should install cameras. Maybe check the windows. That was it. No investigation. No fingerprinting. Just a warning and a brochure on home safety. Kyle thought it was over, but I couldn't stop thinking about everything leading up to this. The mirror, the cabinet doors, the dogs, the smell, the fogged-up bathroom. What if it wasn't a one-time thing? What if someone had been living up there for longer than we realized? We put a camera in the hallway facing the attic door. Motion activated. Simple setup. That night, I laid awake for hours, staring at the monitor. Nothing. Silence. At exactly 2:33 a.m., the dog stood up again, walked to the attic door, and sat, just like before. The camera didn't catch movement. No sounds. No alerts. But when I woke up the next morning, the camera's angle had changed. It was still recording, still on. But now, it was pointing slightly to the left, away from the attic door, and none of us had touched it. I couldn't stop thinking about that camera, the way it had shifted on its own, pointing away from the attic door. Carl thought I was overreacting, but something about it felt too wrong to ignore. That night, I decided to take matters into my own hands. I knew it was risky, but I needed proof. I went to the kitchen and grabbed the biggest bag of flour I could find. I poured it carefully in a line from the bedroom door, down the hallway, and right beneath the attic entrance. The next morning, I'd know if someone had been coming down. I stayed up late, watching the camera feed, listening for any movement. But nothing happened that night. The dogs stayed quiet. The house was still. The next morning, my heart was racing as I walked down the hall. I took one look at the flour and froze. Footprints. Small. Barely noticeable at first, but unmistakable. The faint indentations in the powder. Someone had stepped through the flour and walked down the hall, toward the attic door. But here's the thing. The footprints didn't belong to Kyle or the dogs. They were too small. Too deliberate. My blood ran cold. Someone had been in the house. Not just in the attic, but walking around the hall. Where we sleep. Where we live. I didn't know what to think. Carl had gone to work that morning, so it was just me and the dogs. I stared at those footprints, wondering how long this had been going on. How long they'd been coming down at night. Right past our bedroom. Right under our noses. The dogs started acting even stranger. They didn't just sit in the hallway anymore. Now they whined, pacing, scratching at the walls, whimpering at the attic door like they could sense something. I called Kyle. He didn't believe me at first. I sent him a picture of the footprints. He didn't respond right away. But when he finally did, he said, "Maybe someone's just messing with us." I thought he was going to laugh, but his voice was different, tighter. He told me to call the police again, to report it as a break-in. But the thing was, I didn't know how to explain it. How do you tell someone that there are footprints in your flour, and you think someone's living in your attic? How do you explain that to someone who can't hear what you hear at night? Can't see what you see when the dogs start barking at thin air? I couldn't call the police again. Not yet. But what I could do was wait. Wait for more proof. Wait for them to come down again. And sure enough, that night, I heard it. Footsteps. Coming from above us. But this time, they were louder. More deliberate. And I knew in that moment, they weren't just footsteps. They were waiting for me to find them. I couldn't sleep that night. The footsteps had gotten louder, like someone was pacing just above our bedroom. And it wasn't the usual creaks of the house settling. This was deliberate. Someone was up there, watching us. I tried to keep calm. I told myself it had to be a mistake. that maybe I was imagining things. But then, I heard something else. A soft scratching noise, like nails running across the wall. I froze, staring at the ceiling, my heart pounding. It was coming from the attic. The scratching continued. It wasn't random. It was methodical. And then I heard something that made my blood run cold. A voice. Low, muffled, barely audible, but there, whispering. I couldn't make out the words, but I swear I heard it say my name. And just like that, everything clicked. The dogs barking at the attic door, the strange noises, the footprints in the flour. Someone had been up there for a long time. Someone who knew exactly what they were doing. Someone who was waiting. For me. I had to know. I couldn't wait any longer. I grabbed the flashlight from the kitchen and climbed up the attic ladder. My legs were shaking. I felt like I was about to be pulled into the darkness, but I had to see it for myself. The attic was still, empty, just like the last time Kyle checked. But something was different. In the corner, near the insulation, there was something on the wall. At first, I thought it was just dirt, but as I got closer, I realized it was words, scratched into the wood. The words weren't written, they were carved. I'm always watching. I couldn't breathe. I stumbled backward, my mind racing, trying to process what I was seeing. The message was clear, and it wasn't just a warning. It was a confession. Someone had been in that attic, living there, watching us, and they had been waiting for the perfect moment to make themselves known. I ran down the ladder, my hands trembling. I had to get out of there, but as I turned to leave, I heard something in the distance, a noise coming from the hallway. It wasn't the dogs this time. It was footsteps, closer, louder, and they were heading right toward me. I turned. My pulse hammered in my ears. I couldn't see anything, but I could feel it, the weight of something moving in the dark. Footsteps, closer, and then the attic door creaked open. I stood frozen in place. My mind was screaming at me to run, but my legs wouldn't move. I couldn't breathe, couldn't think. All I could do was stare at the empty hallway ahead, waiting for whatever was coming. Then, the unmistakable sound of a door slowly creaking open. The attic door. I turned back to the attic, the message still glaring at me. I'm always watching. The voice from earlier. It was clearer now. It wasn't a whisper anymore. It was right behind me. A soft, raspy breath. Don't go. I spun around, but there was nothing there. I was alone. I ran. I bolted down the stairs, my heart beating so fast I thought it might explode. The dogs were barking louder than ever now. Their growls echoed through the house. I couldn't believe it. This whole time, someone had been living in our attic, and I didn't know how long it had been going on. The police finally arrived, this time with backup. They searched the house thoroughly, and when they went up into the attic, they found it. A small, hidden space behind the insulation. A mattress, food wrappers, dirty clothes, even a few of my missing items. Things I thought I'd misplaced. But there was no sign of the intruder. Nothing that could point to who they were, or where they'd gone. I'm not sure what to believe anymore. The police said the person must have run when they heard me coming. But I know something was different about that night. The footsteps, the message, the voice. I never felt safe in that house again. No matter how many locks we installed, no matter how many cameras we set up, the fear never left. To this day, I don't know who that person was, or what they wanted, but I do know one thing. I wasn't imagining it. Someone was up there, and they were watching. Like this video if you want to know more true stories, and don't forget to subscribe for more horror content every week. What would you do if you found footprints in your house? Comment below.